Hey, how's it going? It's your challenger coach, Adam Moriarty Isles, here to bring you our pick of the patch video for patch 9.24, where our experts choose our favorite staple and up-and-coming picks. So without any further delay, let's just jump right into it. For the top lane, Prohibit's first pick of the patch will be Treeman Maokai. He says there are a few great top lane tanks this patch, and Maokai is one of them. He's a Maokai abuser at the moment, so you know, I saw this one coming. He says that with the changes to Conqueror no longer granting true damage, tanks are more durable against bruisers. And you already know everyone takes that keystone, so as long as you snag a Bramble Vest to keep you warm against the enemy top laner's flame for picking a no-skill tank, you'll be just fine. Maokai is just a great pickup at the moment. He'll provide a lot for your team and doesn't have any truly bad matchups in the meta right now. At worst case scenario, you can just safely farm under tower with your Q, and best case you can even bully the strongest of laners with your high damage output and sustain. And bonus points, if you get dove because your jungler is just not on top side to protect you, Maokai is really good at dodging that with his W. For his build, grab that Sunfire Cape into Spear Visage into Righteous Glory so that you can actually engage when your flash is down. Round that build off with other tank items like Gargoyle Stoneplate, for example. For the runes, stick to a standard Aftershock with Inspiration Secondary for Time War Tonic so that it's easier for you to just run straight at your opponent. Remember to pick up Maokai if you like the idea of gaining LP with as little effort as possible, because remember, the tank abuser motto is work smart, not hard. For his second pick of the patch, Prohibit seems really adamant about his Hecarim top pick, so he says that the biggest change to Hecarim for this preseason has been the change to Conqueror. He can stack it up incredibly quickly off of his abilities, and the extra healing makes him a menace as a duelist. To be frank, unless your lane opponent has healing reduction or just absolutely absurd burst damage, Hecarim is going to sustain himself through most fights while being able to burst down squishy targets with his deadly roams. For the build, a pretty standard setup is Trinity Force Righteous Glory into Spirit Visage, but if you're snowballing, you can throw in a Death Dance or Ghostblade to continue to apply pressure. If not, you can just go tank items or things like GA or Sterox, but I'm gonna be real with you, you probably want to snowball on this pick, alright? Otherwise it's pretty useless. As for his runes, tank Conqueror with Inspiration for Biscuit's Time War Tonic so that you can more easily run straight at your opponents during the laning phase, which seems to be a common trend for how to win top lane in Season 10. Pick up Hecarim if you like off-meta top laners who have really strong kill pressure during the laning phase, or if you don't feel like turning your brain on for a couple of matches. In the jungle, our expert Flares' first pick of the patch will be the new Diana. He says around every time a new champion gets introduced or reworked, all junglers ask the same thing: can it jungle? He's actually not wrong about that. I remember a time when they introduced Kalista for the first time, people actually tried to play her jungle and use her passive on the mid laner. If you never heard about this before, it's for a good reason, cause it sucked. With Diana though, the answer to if she can jungle or not is definitely yes. Diana's AoE wave clear from her passive when applied to the jungle makes her appear to be a solid A or B tier pick for patch 9.24. Not only that, Diana is getting better dueling potential and better team fighting due to her ER swap as well. As for her runes, be sure to abuse the Conqueror plus Domination secondary runes while rushing Runic Echoes, Rod of Ages, and then Nashor's Tooth for her core build. Pick up Diana if you like an AP bruiser style that will dish out consistent damage over a fight while still having some crazy damage output, but still worse than Echo in every single way from the jungle. It's just, you know, Echo gets banned sometimes, so maybe you gotta have a backup pick. Next up, we have Flares' second pick of the patch, the Master of Trolls, Trundle. He says that now that tanks are easing their way back into the game, Trundle is once again finding a foothold in the meta. As a disclaimer though, once again, Trundle works best as a counter pick, not a blind pick. I don't want people running around first picking Trundle. It's not going to work that way, alright? Wait for the tanks to show up, then lock in the Trundle. Like I said, Trundle excels as a counter pick to the double bruiser meta and the tank support meta pretty well at the moment due to him being able to steal their AD with his Q and then steal resistances with his R. This makes him work exceptionally well versus some of the top dog junglers right now, such as Warwick and Olaf. Warwick ults in, bam, hit him with the pillar. Olaf ults in, hit him with the R, and laugh as he quickly dies and he just has to see that gray screen over and over again. For the build, you're gonna want to rush Tiamat into Cinderhulk. Pair that up with some Tobbies or Mercs and a Randuin Spirit Visage for a generalized build. For runes, you're gonna want to go Conquer with Inspiration Secondary for Magic Shoes and Approach Velocity so you can easily run people down after you pillow them. You're gonna want to pick up Trundle if you want a counterpick to tanks that will surely become popular in Season 10. Fun fact, Ryan actually made this his pick of the patch out of spite because he missed a tier list meeting, shame on him, so he wasn't around to veto my vote to drop Trundle to B tier from A tier. Learn from Ryan's mistakes, people. Show up to things on time. Now we got the mid picks of the patch with your mid lane expert, multi-time challenger player, and coach Moriarty with his first pick of the patch being Kassadin. He says that despite the nerfs to this patch, CaptainMonkHD will still be an extremely strong pickup in the meta. To me, the nerfs didn't really mean much and mostly were just meant to curb the growing popularity of his Tankadin build. Realistically, the nerfs won't do anything to his normal setup with fleet footwork and domination secondary with building regular AP items. But wait, Adam, isn't Conqueror Kassadin doing better than fleet footwork right now? Yeah, you are right about that. But wait, there's more. His actual best setup at the moment is Electrocute with Precision Secondary for Presence of Mind, giving him both a strong enough early game to snowball, but still enough mana to 1v9 in the mid to late game teamfight phase, making him one of the best mid laners on this patch, end of story. For his core build, you're gonna want to go Rod of Ages into Archangel Staff followed by Rabadon's Deathcap. But wait, Adam, once again, don't people prefer taking Lichbane on Kassadin? Yeah, you are right about that, but Deathcap actually is his best DPS choice. It's just that Kassadin players often just hit level 16 and 3 items, so it doesn't really matter what they've built at that point in time. He's just gonna win the game anyways. But I still want people to build him correctly based on the actual math, rather than what just feels right. You're gonna want to pick up Kassadin if you want to make Katarina mains cry. They just hate the matchup so much. Or you just like playing a late game scaling assassin, cause I'm pretty sure he might be the only real one in the game. Okay though, so for my next pick, it's gonna be my true main champion over the years, the one that I am best known for, the Twisted Fate. This is gonna sound a little troll though, but I promise I've personally been testing this out and so far it looks pretty promising. Twisted Fate at the moment with his normal build is doing just fine, so there would be no real reason to highlight him, but what if I told you there's a champion that actually doesn't suck with Omnistone? And that's in fact Twisted Fate. He's most commonly known for actually taking Spellbook currently, but he's got a million other setups depending on your playstyle and the matchup, so I thought, well, why not take Omnistone since he seems to do well with every keystone. Funny enough, I actually haven't lost a game with Omnistone Twisted Fate yet, as it gives him a lot more early game dominance with things like Press the Attack, Comet, Electrocute, or even Lethal Tempo on him's pretty good, when you combine that with taking Ignite over the standard Teleport which Spellbook users often use, because, you know, he doesn't actually need Teleport with the Omnistone as he can really threaten the early game with Ignite. For the build when you're taking Omnistone, it's pretty versatile. You can either use his Trendy Force style or just use his AP style, which personally I prefer, so you're gonna go Rod of Ages Lichbane into Azanias. For the runes, you're gonna want to take Omnistone unironically with Resolve Secondary in Assassin matchups, but otherwise I personally prefer taking Sorcery for Scorch and Mana Flow ban. Just remember to take Ignite instead of Teleport, alright? All in all, I'm not 100% certain this is better than his normal setup, but it is viable and it's super fun, so give it a shot if you want to pick up Twisted Fate and play the champion that requires the most amount of IQ and macro knowledge to play at the highest level. Definitely not biased on this one or anything like that, it's just, you know, that's what people think, I'm pretty sure. Now we got the ball lane picks of the patch with our ball lane expert, Bossman Philo. He says that Caitlyn is definitely one of the champions that has benefited the most from the new crit item changes. Now that she can rush Stormrazor, it's allowed her to get a perfect mix of attack speed and AD early on, which combined with the slow can help win lane even harder. Not only that, but the new Cloak of Agility now gives 25% crit, so we're seeing people actually grab those after their Infinity Edge to rush 100% crit as fast as possible, giving her a huge boost to her headshots during the mid game. As for her core build, you're going to want to go Stormrazor, Infinity Edge into Rapid Fire Cannon. Man, these AD carry mains actually have the easiest itemization ever. It's so clear and simple, I'm surprised any of them actually ever managed to mess it up, but they do anyways. For example, I don't even need to know what champion I'm talking about when I say after that, you're going to want to follow it up with a second deal item, most likely Fan Advance or Static Shiv, or go a defensive item like Mercurial or Guardian Angel. It's just that easy. As for her runes, well, they're still pretty much the same with Fleet Footwork and then either Sorcery or Inspiration Secondary. It's all personal preference, but the boss man, he chooses Inspiration Secondary, which if I must say so is a wise decision in my opinion. You're gonna want to pick up Caitlyn if you like playing Marksman and you like also winning the laning phase off the simple act of choosing the correct Marksman, which is almost always Caitlyn. She pretty much only loses to Ashe or Varus, but Varus sucks in solo queue, so pretty much just Ashe. Alright, for Bossman's next pick of the patch with some slight foreshadowing, it's gonna have to be Jhin. He says that Jhin with Stormrazor is insanely good as the slow on it allows Jhin to easily kite or set up picks early on into the game. This in turn allows Jhin to snowball in the early game quite easily off of just one item, making it so that he can power up into the mid game with some massive upfront crit damage. Not only that, but with this setup, he can achieve a 100% crit chance a lot earlier into the game, making it so that his first auto attack is just gonna crush people so that he can win duels and start fights on his own for an easy way to push his lead into a victory. For the build, you're gonna want to rush Stormrazor into Infinity Edge followed by a rapid fire cannon, but unlike most AD carries, he doesn't actually need Berserker Greaves, so he can pick up Tobbies versus Assassins or Merc Treads if the enemy team's got a lot of CC. But if they don't, your standard's pretty much just gonna be Swifty Boots so that he can run into range and kite people out a lot easier. For the runes, a standard is Fleet Footwork with Sorcery Secondary will do just fine, although Inspiration Secondary is common choice as well, kinda like most AD carries right now. They can't really decide which one is better. Look to pick up Gen if you don't like autoing too much but enjoy running around at super fast speed like the fast hitting people with a massive amount of crits. On to the support picks of the patch with our support expert Pickle Pants, who's picking Zyra again. Okay, William, listen up here, alright? Only gonna say this once. This is the last time I'm gonna let you pick Zyra in 2019. I'm serious about this. I am not messing around. Stop picking Zyra. Anyway, he says 2 patches into the new system, and oh boy, we've got Zyra as my pick of the patch once again. Zyra has benefited greatly from the starting item changes as she can invest heavily into AP quickly without having to spend gold on upgrading her support item. Depending on the matchup, she can either be super potent with Arcane Comment or a super safe laner with Aftershock while still being a lane bully, which honestly is a difficult thing to find in a support champion. And in most situations, as long as you're utilizing your starting support item properly, you can either get Haunting Eyes or Sorc Shoes on your first back, which is actually pretty awesome. Something that will help you dominate in the lane and pick up a lot of free kills. Even if the jungler ganks you, if you got those items, it's likely that Zyra with her ultimate can turn and kill everyone. For the core build, you're gonna want to go Sorc Shoes into Liandry's with Azanias and Arcane Comment Stopwatch as important runes that you should look to take. Pick up Zyra if you like the idea of going 7-0 and having the most damage on the team, or going 0-7 and also having the most damage on the team. I'm not even joking about that, that's just how it goes when you play Zyra. And something you might not know about her that you probably should if you're thinking about maining her is she has one of the highest deaths on average out of any champion in the game, so fair warning, you're gonna die a lot on her when you first start learning her. But just try and get out your combo as fast as possible before you do die, kinda like if you're playing Brand. Pickle's second pick of the patch is gonna be Maokai support. Alright, Pickle, I see you. I respect this pick of the patch more a lot better than your last one, alright? I'm proud of you, buddy. He says that Maokai is a super tank with tons of peel and CC in a meta where you're playing against hard engage supports and squishy major utility supports. As such, Maokai thrives as a counter-engaging style support. While it's true he isn't the strongest overall support around, as long as you keep your distance and don't get poked down out of the laning phase by ranged champions, you should be in a good position in almost any matchup just by controlling the brush and outcoast with your saplings. Just a quick tip for the laning phase, make sure to not push too hard pre-6, otherwise it's going to be really difficult for you and you're going to have to play pretty much fully reactively. For the core build, you're going to want to go tanky items like Zeke's Locket or even a Gargoyle Stone Plate so that you can combo it with a super Locket shield. After that, you're going to want to go things like Knight's Vow, Redemption, or even a SirhcEz as nice late game options, and I've even seen people go Liandry's if they want to carry a little harder, but I think that one's a little bit more troll. You're going to want to pick up Maokai support if the enemy team's got a lot of diving champions, as he is a great peel support option, kind of like Alistar, but better because that champion's just awful right now. That's it for our pick of the patch video for patch 9.24. Make sure to check out more Mobalytics content on this YouTube channel or on our website at mobalytics.gg. And as always, I'm Moriarty, and I'll see you out on the Rift.